Good morning, everybody. Happy day 1, week 3, learning at home. We're going to finish Sunset of the Sabertooth this week. I'm going to get to share a couple of other stories with you, and then we are headed into space to visit the moon. I'm so proud of the jobs that you've been working, the things you've been doing at home and all the jobs you've been doing. I hope that this weekend, you took the opportunity to start a new job at home, and I can't wait to hear about those. I hope you were able to get outside a little bit. We saw a few peaks of sun, and it was pretty blustery, but I was able to take Guinness for a couple of walks after being cooped up inside for what felt like a couple of days. So, all right, here we are, onward to finish this story and see what happens next in Jack and Annie's adventure in the Ice Age. So here we go with Chapter 7, The Sorcerer's Gift. The sorcerer didn't speak. He stared through the eye holes of his owl mask. "Please, help us," said Annie. The sorcerer threw a rope into the pit. Jack grabbed it. "He wants to pull us up," said Annie. Jack looked up. The sorcerer was gone. "Where did he go?" Jack said. "Tug on the rope," said Annie. Jack tugged. The rope tightened. It began rising. "I'll go first," said Annie cheerfully. "Annie, this isn't a game," warned Jack. "Don't worry, I'll be careful." Jack gave her the rope. "Okay, but you hold on tight," he said. Annie held the rope with both hands. She pushed her feet against the side of the pit. She rose into the air with the rope. She kept pressing against the side of the pit until she reached the top. Jack saw the sorcerer reappear and help Annie out of the pit. Then he moved out of sight. Jack was puzzled, confused. The sorcerer had used both hands to help Annie. So who held the other end of the rope? "Wow," came Annie's voice. "What's going on?" Jack wondered. The sorcerer came back and threw the rope down again. Jack grabbed it, and the rope started to rise. Jack held on tight. He started up. His hands burned. His arms felt like they were being pulled out of their sockets. But he kept his hold on the rope and his feet against the side of the pit. At the top, the sorcerer pulled Jack onto the snowy ground. "Thanks," said Jack, standing. The sorcerer was tall. He wore a long fur robe. Jack could see only his eyes through the owl mask. "Hey!" Annie called. Jack turned. Annie was sitting on a woolly mammoth. Squeak! Peanut was sitting on the woolly mammoth's head. The mammoth looked like a giant elephant with shaggy reddish hair and long curved tusks. The other end of the rope was around the mammoth's huge neck. "Lulu pulled us up," said Annie. "Lulu?" said Jack. "Don't you think she looks like a Lulu?" said Annie. "Oh, brother," said Jack. He walked up to the mammoth. "Hey, mammoth starts with M," said Annie. "Maybe Lulu is the special thing." "I don't think so," said Jack. The great creature knelt down just like a circus elephant. Everybody see the pictures? Check to make sure you're using your whole body listening. "Whoa," said Annie. She clutched the mammoth's ear to keep from falling off. The sorcerer helped Jack climb onto the mammoth. "Thanks," said Jack. Then the sorcerer reached into a pouch. He pulled out a smooth, white bone and handed it to Jack. The bone was hollow. Remember, hollow means that it doesn't have anything on the inside. It had 4 holes along one side and 2 on the other. "Oh, man, I think it's a flute," said Jack. "The book said they make flutes from mammoth bones." Jack tried to give the flute back to the sorcerer. "Nice," he said politely. But the sorcerer held up his hand. "He wants you to keep the mammoth bone," said Annie. "Mammoth bone," whispered Jack. "Hey, maybe that's the third M thing." Jack looked at the sorcerer. "Do you know Morgan?" he asked. The sorcerer didn't answer, but his eyes sparkled with kindness. He turned away from Jack and untied the mammoth's rope. Then he whispered in the ear of the giant woolly creature. When the mammoth stood up, Jack gripped Annie's coat to keep from falling off. He felt like he was miles above the ground. He nestled beside Annie in the dip between the mammoth's head and huge curved back. The mammoth took long, slow, plodding steps across the snow, then picked up speed. "Where are you going?" said Jack, as they bumped up and down. "To the treehouse," said Annie. "How does he know where to go?" said Jack. "She just knows," said Annie. Jack looked back. The sorcerer was standing in the snow, watching them. But at that moment, the clouds parted, and the sun came out. Jack was blinded by sunlight on the snow. He squinted to see, but the sorcerer had vanished. Chapter 8, The Great Parade. The huge mammoth walked across the open plain. "Look," said Annie. She pointed to the herd of elk in the distance. They had great wide antlers. "There," said Jack, as the herd of reindeer came into view. They pranced gracefully across the snow. Then a woolly rhino joined them on the open plain. Then a bison. "All right, everybody take a quick break. Choose to be an elk or a woolly rhino. And I want you to dance like the prancing, graceful elk across the snow. Or I want you to dance and prance like you think a woolly rhino would across the snow." Great job. The elk, reindeer, rhino, and bison moved along with them in the distance. They seemed to be escorting Jack and Annie back to the treehouse. When you escort someone, you walk with them. The snow sparkled with sunlight. "This is a great parade," Jack thought. "Fantastic." They were getting closer and closer to the grove of tall trees. Do you remember what's in the grove of tall trees? "I told you," said Annie. "Lulu's taking us home." But just then the mammoth let out a cry. All the other animals bounded off. That means they ran away. Peanut started to squeak. Jack looked around. Behind them, the Sabertooth was slinking across the sunlit snow. What would a slinking Sabertooth look like? The woolly mammoth roared and plunged forward. Jack and Annie nearly fell off. Jack clutched onto Annie. She and Annie clutched the mammoth's shaggy hair. The mammoth thundered wildly over the ground. "Ah!" Jack and Annie yelled. The mammoth charged to the grove of trees, but the tiger had circled around the trees. He stood between the tallest tree and the mammoth. They were trapped. The Sabertooth began moving slowly towards the mammoth. The woolly mammoth roared fiercely. But Jack knew a Sabertooth could kill any creature, including a mammoth. The huge tiger's head was down. Oh, there he is. His burning eyes were fixed on the mammoth. His long white fangs glinted in the sunlight. Remember, glinted is like sparkled. All right, that's it for today. There is no challenge. I have been giving you so many challenges. I want you to keep working on those. And don't forget, I'd love to see what you're working on for your challenges. So snap a picture or send a quick video. I love any sort of sight unseen that I can see you. I love the opportunity. So go and have an awesome rest of your day, and go ahead and make sure you've shared the news today and you've done your ride along today. Hope you enjoyed that riddle. And go ahead and answer any questions about the story that your family might have. Or maybe you could ask your family if they've been listening with you, what their favorite parts are. Go and have some great talk. Maybe play a couple of I Have Who Has games, and have some fun. I'll see you tomorrow. Love you lots. Bye-bye.